In 1513, a Turkish admiral drew a coastline that no human eye had ever seen. Tonight, you'll discover how a single piece of gazelle skin shattered everything we thought we knew about ancient navigation, and what military analysts found in 1960 still has no official explanation. The year is 1929. Inside the dusty libraries of the Topkapi Palace in Istanbul, a German theologian named Gustav Adolf Deissmann is cataloging forgotten manuscripts when his fingers brush against a folded piece of gazelle skin. He unfolds it carefully. What he sees should not exist. It is a map dated 1513, signed by an Ottoman admiral named Piri Reis, and on its lower edge, drawn with unsettling precision, is a coastline that no European, no Arab, no Asian navigator of the 16th century could possibly have seen with their own eyes. A coastline that, according to mainstream science, was not even discovered until 1820. The coastline of Antarctica. But the strangest part is not that Antarctica appears on a map drawn 300 years before its official discovery. The strangest part is what shape it takes, because the Antarctica on the Piri Reis map is not the frozen, ice-locked continent we know today. It is drawn without ice. Its mountains, its rivers, its bays are sketched as if someone had flown over it before the Great Glaciation buried it. And the only problem with that idea is that Antarctica has been covered in ice for at least 6,000 years, possibly much longer. Let us go back to the man himself. Piri Reis, born around 1465 in the port city of Gallipoli, was no ordinary cartographer. He was a corsair, a naval commander, the nephew of the legendary Admiral Kemal Reis. He sailed the Mediterranean, raided Spanish coasts, and rose through the ranks of the Ottoman Navy until he became one of the most respected mariners of his age. In 1513, while serving the Sultan, he compiled a world map drawing on, by his own written admission, around 20 source maps. Some were Greek, dating back to the time of Alexander the Great. Some were Arab, some were Portuguese, and one, he claims, was a map drawn by Christopher Columbus himself, captured from a Spanish sailor during a naval engagement. That detail alone is historically explosive. No original map by Columbus has ever been found. If Piri Reis really had one in 1513, his chart may preserve a copy of geographical knowledge that has since vanished from the historical record. But Columbus is only the beginning, because the Piri Reis map shows the eastern coast of South America with remarkable accuracy. It shows the Caribbean. It shows the western coast of Africa. And it shows, beneath the tip of South America, a landmass extending eastward, joined seamlessly to what looks like Antarctica's Queen Maud Land. For 4 centuries, the map sat in a palace, unstudied. Then in 1956, a Turkish naval officer donated a copy to the United States Navy Hydrographic Office. It landed on the desk of a man named Captain Arlington H. Mallory, and later passed to Lieutenant Colonel Harold Z. Ohlmeyer, chief of the 8th Reconnaissance Technical Squadron of the U.S. Air Force. These were not mystics. These were military cartographers trained to read terrain. And what they concluded in a now famous letter dated July 6, 1960, has never been satisfactorily explained. Ohlmeyer wrote, and I am paraphrasing the official document, that the geographical detail shown in the lower part of the map agrees remarkably with the results of a seismic profile survey made on top of the ice cap by a Swedish, British, Norwegian expedition in 1949. The implication is staggering. The map appears to show the subglacial coastline of Antarctica, the land hidden beneath nearly 2 kilometers of ice, a coastline that human technology could not even map until the invention of seismic sounding equipment. Ohlmeyer concluded that the ice cap in this region must have been absent when the original source map was drawn. And he admitted, with quiet honesty, that he had no idea how the data could have been acquired with the geographical knowledge of 1513. This is the moment the mystery cracks wide open. Because if the Antarctic coastline was ice-free when someone mapped it, that someone had to have been there before the ice formed. And depending on which geological model you trust, that pushes the original survey back thousands, perhaps tens of thousands of years. Professor Charles Hapgood of Keene State College spent years analyzing the projection. In his 1966 book, Maps of the Ancient Sea Kings, he argued that the Piri Reis map was a fragment of a much older world map, drawn by a forgotten civilization with advanced surveying methods, perhaps using spherical trigonometry that Europe would not rediscover until the 18th century. Albert Einstein, in a personal letter, found Hapgood's reasoning serious enough to write a foreword to one of his earlier works. Einstein did not endorse the conclusions, but he did not dismiss them either. Now, the skeptics have their answer, and we must be honest about it. Mainstream cartographers argue that the southern landmass on the Piri Reis map is not Antarctica at all, but a distorted, eastward-bent rendering of the South American coast, a common stylistic compression used by 16th-century mapmakers running out of parchment. They point out that the rivers and mountains can be matched, loosely, to features in Patagonia. They argue that the resemblance to Queen Maud Land is coincidence, a Rorschach test of human pattern-seeking. And yet the coincidences keep stacking. The map's longitudes between Africa and South America are accurate to within half a degree, an accuracy Europe would not match for another 2 centuries. The relative positions of islands in the Atlantic are nearly perfect. Piri Reis himself wrote in the margins, in Ottoman Turkish, that his source maps came from the time of Alexander the Great and from regions he called the Sea of Darkness. He did not understand all of what he was copying. He was a transmitter, not the original surveyor. So who was? Who walked the shores of an ice-free Antarctica, measured it, mapped it, and then vanished so completely from history that only a single faded copy of their work survives, folded for centuries inside an Ottoman palace? Was it an unknown maritime civilization, predating Egypt and Sumer, swallowed by rising seas at the end of the last ice age? Was it survivors of something even older, passing knowledge through Phoenician traders, through the Library of Alexandria, through Arab cartographers, until it reached the hands of a Turkish admiral who himself did not realize what he held? The Piri Reis map is not a forgery. It hangs today, carefully preserved in the Topkapi Museum. The ink is real. The date is real. The signature is real. What remains uncertain is the chain of knowledge behind it. And every time a researcher tries to follow that chain backward, it dissolves into the same place. A place before written history. A place we are not supposed to remember. And perhaps that is the most haunting thing of all. Not that the map exists, but that someone, long ago, knew enough to draw it, and we have forgotten everything else they knew. If this map left you with more questions than answers, then you belong on this channel. Subscribe to Mysteries of History and ring the bell, because next week we open another door that history tried to keep shut. Don't let the silence win.